Hey everybody, this is Stu Smith and Jeff Nichols, and we are doing the Tactical Fitness Report again. But today is uh,
Halloween edition.
a special,
I don't know.
Halloween edition. We're gonna call this one "Stupid Questions," right? And we're not making fun of you for asking stupid questions because there's a part of me that deep down I really truly believe there's no such thing as a stupid question. However, after doing this for many, many years, I've been proven wrong many, many times. But I'm going to give most people the benefit of the doubt, especially if they form the question in a nice, easy to read pattern, no text language, with punctuation, good grammar. Even if it's a stupid question, I'm going to say, you know what? Here's where you're going to find that one. Go to Google, boom, it's there, right? Or, something nice like that. I won't make you feel bad for calling you stupid or asking for stupid questions, because Jeff and I were just talking about it, and he made a good point, is that a lot of these questions that are out there are part of the mystery of buds, and perhaps it's partially our fault for not explaining some of those things. But you're going to see, and Jeff can chime in here any minute, you're going to see that some of these questions are a little bit on the ridiculous side when you think with some common sense. I don't know. What do you think, Jeff?
No, I think, I guess one of the things that Stu and I were talking about off camera, I suppose, is that years ago, well, technology isn't as advanced as far as, social media and such like that. And Stu and I's ability to communicate so efficiently wasn't there before. So I didn't have anybody that I could email or call. Like there are a ton of SEALs that are available for these sort of questionings by many of you guys. So now we get the vast majority of the questions we get are real poignant, direct questions pertaining to training and lifestyle and such, which is great. But some of them are just, they show a couple things: a total lack of effort, and then some show a total lack of respect, and then some just maybe they're structured in the sense of they just didn't think, they just blurted before they asked, because information is so readily exchanged from Stu and I to you all, and and then that's okay. We just want to make sure that, because at the end of the day here, and I know Stu and I've said this, and I'll stop for a sec, is that when Stu and I are not there to hold your hand, you got to do it yourself. And and even the guys that Stu and I have trained religiously, for lack of a better term, for months and in better part of a year, we're still of no help to them when the stress is on them. They still have to do it. And so it starts in my mind, at least, it starts in my mind from the very first question that you asked Stu and I. If it's one centered around, hey, I've hit this plateau, or I've done this, or I don't understand this point of training or this part of buds, can you better explain it to me? Instead of, hey, one of mine was, hey, I don't have access to a pool, nor am I going to have access to a pool. Can you give me exercises, breathing exercises that will allow me to still pass my swim PST, having never, he couldn't swim. One of the questions, he's never learned to swim, and he's asking me breathing exercises.
Yeah.
I don't know how old this guy is. He could be, hell, as far as I know, he could be 10. But typically it's 16 to 22.
Right.
So I just look at that and I just go, I just shake my head.
Yeah, that is a thorough misunderstanding of what is required of you when you get to buds. One thing that Jeff and I are trying to do is kind of give you guys an understanding of what the intensity is like when you're at buds, what your preparation now is actually preparing you for when you get to buds. I mean, there are some specific things that there's no gray area out there. I mean, it's a 4-mile timed run. It's a 2-mile swim. It's a no course. It's a PT. It's a soft sand run. It's underneath the boat. It's underneath a log. you know that is what you're going to have to do, so that's majority of what we do. However, there are some questions that are hidden in between those, and some of them are laced with rumors, and I understand that. But if your question starts off with, somebody told me this, it's probably an incorrect rumor, right?
Yeah.
Unless you heard it from a former SEAL's mouth or an active duty SEAL's mouth, it's probably a rumor and is a fallacy. In fact, we did a rumors thing. One of our first podcasts we did. If you look back in these podcasts on the channels, you'll see the one we did on rumors, and some of those are pretty funny. Actually.
Yeah, and I mean, even to that point too, is that I hope that you all recognize the fine line or the unwillingness for Stu and I to talk specifically about our experience as SEALs. Because that's not what we're supposed to be doing. And so if there is a SEAL out there, now I'm not talking about the mentor side. If you have people out there, even like, again, from secondhand information of going, well, I knew this SEAL that said this, or I knew this SEAL that did this. And I actually got this weekend. And I'm not going to get into it necessarily, but I look at it and I go, it doesn't coincide. That information that you got from a SEAL isn't coinciding with the history of the community. It doesn't make sense. Like one of them was about PEDs specifically. And this is not a gender thing. It was specifically from a woman asking me. It wasn't asking me. It was statements saying, I've heard this. I've heard it's rampant. I've heard this, and maybe this is a topic for some other time, but secondhand information does not help you, okay? Especially when it comes to buds. It just doesn't. In that rumor world, that's what I'm talking about, right. Where it's PEDs, and we'll get on that road too, but it irks me when people say, well, I've heard this and I've heard that. And I go, okay, well, I get that you've heard it, but have you thought through it? And a lot of times people go, no, I haven't really thought through it. I just kind of took it as gospel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it goes back to what Stu and I keep saying. We can only help you to a certain point. Then you have got to own this information.
Right. All right. So let's read some of these sample questions, shall we?
Yes.
Let's do that. So here's one that I got, once again, nicely worded, numbered questions. I mean, there's several questions in here, probably 10 questions. Some of them are not thought out very well. Some of them I don't even know. I didn't even know it was a question in people's minds about certain things. So
hey, before I'm going to interrupt you one time. So I get emails all the time, and I didn't respond to it because in the subject line, it says, I got a couple questions for you. Or in the first sentence, it says, I got a couple questions for you. And it goes on and on about someone's history. And then it goes on and on about the second paragraph. But in no point is there a question mark or a question.
Yeah.
So if you have a question, just ask it.
Yeah. Please just ask it.
Just ask it.
Put a question mark behind it. Put a number in front of it if there's multiple ones.
Yes.
Just make it easy for us.
Just ask the question because we don't have time.
Yeah. And if there's no punctuation in it, I'm going to send it back to you and say, rewrite this.
Yep. With red ink.
Just like your English teacher.
Yeah.
All right, here you go. So how do you deal with salt water that gets in your mouth from the surf? Despite how bad it tastes, it can really dehydrate you. So just curious on even if it is a concern for you during buds. Okay, salt water in your mouth. Yes. You do swims, you're going to get salt water in your mouth a little bit. But it's nothing to the point of where you're actually drinking massive amounts of salt water that's going to cause any type of kidney issues and dehydration. No. Yeah.
Well, see, because then we'll talk about the biology side of it. So we're talking that's assumed that we're getting osmosis, a transfer of one to another, but you're not going to get that because the salt water is already saturated. It's not going to pull from your water. So
yeah, other than
it
just
tastes,
sweating in your
other than
wetsuit.
spitting. Yeah,
Yeah.
than constantly spitting and stuff. But I
You,
think,
you know how you probably heard this one from you're lost in the middle of the ocean and you haven't had water in days, and now you're going to drink salt water, then you die.
right. We blame it on the salt water, but you are in an unprotected environment.
Yeah.
So yeah, certainly that's consumption, because then you are dealing with transferring of sodium through the membrane. But I think that, I guess the overall overarching point of this that I see is that, like I said, we are giving you guys a lot of information that isn't otherwise out there, but at the same time, we're not going to, it's so of so little value. Like,
Right.
yes, if you here's the thing, if you as a Bud student or a Special Forces candidate or a PJ candidate or whatever are worried about those finite nuances,
Yes.
then a 4-mile timed run, a 5-mile swim, having a log above your head, the stress of the other candidates outperforming you will crush you.
Yes. Good point, because me answering this question really gives you no value. You're exactly right. I don't want to call this a stupid question, because it is a very logical question. However, it gives you little value when you go to SEAL training.
If we had an answer for that specifically said, this is how you mitigate, because the questions are mitigating hydration and
Yes.
taste. If we said, hey, line your mouth with beeswax, or it's not going to work. Or just like, no, here is the biochemistry of why hydration and osmosis isn't. If we answered that, you go, oh, okay. It still gives you no performance value.
No. I tell you what, I have taken in salt water before, and on that 2-mile ocean swim every week that you do, I've gotten sick. I've puked while I was swimming, but you know what? You just keep swimming.
Yep.
I mean, these are little things that you're going to learn when doing them, so.
Yeah. So like, I know guys in Draeger when that thing will flood, sometimes you don't get the seal down.
Oh yeah.
Guys will start aspirating and start vomiting, and the manual, the dive manual, I believe, said, hey, depending on what depth you're at, you may have to swallow your own vomit so you're not aspirating it, because it's going to be so tight you can't pull the regular way and spit because it'll flood.
Right.
So it's like, until you can get to surface, you have to swallow your own vomit. So folks, if you are concerned about bad tasting salt water, you might want to think about going to IT school. Okay. So you're not going to be in the water. That's just my advice.
That's a good one. All right. So once again, logical question. I understand it, but our answering it gives you very little value for your preparation for Buds.
Yes.
I'm aware that they'll never starve you or deprive students of hydration, but when do you actually get the opportunity to drink? In between evolutions, do they give you time to get water? Do you carry a bottle with you? How does that work?
This falls under two categories. One is if you listen to any of the conversations we had, or the SEAL SWIC forums, or just general comments, or if you've watched the Discovery Channel, you're going to see that, number one, they always are carrying canteens.
Yes. And canteens, you have water in it. They put electrolytes in it. Some people put sugar in it.
And it also falls under the category of, after years and years of Buds. Now, there's never been this concern because it's well managed because I'll say this is, maybe this is a point that we could have made it's not made at all. The medical staff that manages Buds, it's robust.
Yeah.
Highly experienced, incredibly capable individuals, medical doctors, PAs, PTs that run Buds. They are the best that the military has to offer. So it's really, really fantastic that you're going to go into that type of training well taken care of. And hydration is of utmost importance to those individuals.
Absolutely. So, you're going to drink all day long. You can drink whenever you want, basically.
something that I learned in buds, and here is a blow your mind. And it was something that we learned. We got a medical briefing going into Hell Week. And the doctor at the time, I forget his name, but he was the senior medical officer at there. He said, listen, he goes, you guys are not going to be thirsty in Hell Week. He goes, but we're going to stop every couple hours and make you drink X. He goes, that will keep you warmer. And he explained why a state of hydration helps manage body temperature.
Yes.
And I just remember just sitting there with huge glasses of water going, I do not feel like drinking this. But I do remember staying hydrated, drinking them and drinking. You had to drink like 4 of them before you could leave the table. And I was like, you have a belly full of water, because he said the world's best canteen is your stomach. And you cannot manage body temperature without proper hydration. And it's always stuck with me, especially in cold weather. Okay. Because what's the first thing that happens for many people when they got to pee, when they get cold weather? They've got to pee. The body's got to heat that water. So it tries to get rid of it so it doesn't have to heat it. But if you make it heat it, because you know you're going to stay hydrated and moving, you'll stay warmer.
Yeah, that's very good. That's a good.
So that was my Hell Week in brief.
That's a good
doc. So
yeah, we stay hydrated. Yeah, you stay overhydrated. I mean, I don't want to say overhydrated because there is such a thing, but you get plenty of water.
Which brings us to our next question, right?
Yes, our next question. What about urinating? Where do you find time to urinate? Do they just want you to go wherever you can or have the opportunity? I can't imagine they'll give you a pass mid-evolution to take a restroom break. Do you guys use the surf to go?
The answer is
once again, yes. You pee wherever. You know, I mean, yes, in between evolutions, there is time. There is time at, every chow. There is time to use the bathroom. Sometimes if you can get to the pool 10 minutes early, you'll have time to use the bathroom. And usually if you're at the pool at 8 o'clock in the morning after breakfast, the whole class just blows up the bathroom. I mean, it just happens. And then, you will pee in your pants a lot. You're wet anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I think if memory serves me right, there's only 3 times that I recall Bud's instructors going, hey, don't piss yourself if this. Well, there's 4. If you're going on a dive evolution, wait to get into water to pee yourself, because if you piss your wetsuit and they cank the dive for some reason, because we had a couple dives canceled because they couldn't deconflict some of the boat traffic in Bud's. It happened twice. And SQT once in Bud's, and then so they're like, hey, you're going to be sitting in your own urine, and then you're going to have to get back on the bus, and you're going to sit in the bus with piss. So don't pee until you get in the water. Number 1. Number 2 was don't urinate on the way to your camis on the way to chow, because you're going to sit in the cafeteria soaked in pee, and then the staff at the cafeteria, the managing it, are going to complain, and then they're just going to beat the hell out of you. And then the third one was same thing, going into the classrooms. If you have a scheduled classroom time for dive physics, whatever, don't piss yourself, because you're going to sit in the classroom and everyone's going to smell your piss.
Yeah. Those
are the only times that they ever mentioned it, because it is assumed that you're going to wet yourself. That's or you hold it.
And besides, you're going to be sent to the surf so many times in a day. I mean, I can't even remember being dry at Bud's. I mean, I don't think there might have been a handful of days in 6 months that I didn't get wet. That's probably because we were in Laguna or something and doing land nav or something.
Yeah.
That was it.
I remember guys specifically, one guy in particular who made it through Bud's, this absolute hard dude. And he had to go, like he crushed every evolution. He was just and he was a good runner and everything, super strong. And so he never really ever got sent to the surf for doing dumb stuff. And he was really funny too. And he's just like, man, I got to pee. So he'd do something stupid to get in trouble. So they'd send him to surf to pee. Because he's like, man, because because he didn't want to have like dry camis and have wet inside of legs. He's like, man, I'd rather be completely wet than. So he'd do something stupid.
Absolutely.
And they'd send him to the surf zone and be like, oh, I had to go to the bathroom anyway.
So, like I said, you figure it out. Once again, this is one of those things that you will figure out within 24 hours of being at Bud's, right? I would say most of these questions are.
Yeah.
All right, so here's a good one. Have you ever witnessed or personally experienced getting annihilated by massive waves at Bud's? I've seen clips of those getting 3 to 5 foot high, just raining down on students while they're in boats.
Did you say 3 to 5?
Yeah, it's bigger than that. It's like 8 to 10.
15?
Yeah, even
Yeah,
more.
on a good day.
Yeah.
12? Because they'll shut down. Like, what month was your first phase?
Let's see. We did Hell Week in October, so.
Oh, so you had some winter. You had some winter swells.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I remember them canceling the day's evolution and said, "Go get the boats," and it was
it wasn't even scheduled, and everyone would come out of their offices to watch guys get crushed,
and it was fun. It was probably some of the most. It's like spending a day at the beach body surfing, but you're with 6 dudes or 7 dudes in a boat doing it. It's really fun.
It's a little bit frightening, but so like my Hell Week was in May. So but it just occasionally depends on the swells wouldn't get 12 feet for us. But when I went through at the end, so when we got back from the island, just a typical sort of like, or it wasn't back, we got back from Land Nav in Laguna. So it was October, same time lane, and somebody did something stupid. So instead of like, doing surf torture or something, they made us go get out the boats.
Wow.
And it was a huge wave.
You were in third
phase? Yeah. And somebody didn't get hurt necessarily, but somebody I think got whacked in the face and broke their nose.
Yeah, with a wave.
Yeah, or split their nose. Yeah.
Wave and
so
paddle.
They're like, it wasn't like anyone got in trouble or anything, but they're just like, damn, like we can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
But so I guess with that question right there, for me, fits into the category of I don't have any control, and there's nothing that Stu and I can say that can deal with. We'll call them. I guess that category fits into God, like whatever deity you believe into. If it's 12-foot surf, your ass is going to be in the water. That's just the way it is. That is Bud's, and there's nothing we could say to you that can prepare you for it.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's a little frightening at first, but it gets fun, especially if you can get through the surf, time it right to where you and your guys are through the surf, and now you get to ride those waves back in, and that's fun. And that's like the instructors are cheering you on because you caught a big one and you just go skipping right across the beach. I mean, I thought it was fun, so enjoy it. It's a good time. So, yeah, you won't get drowned as this guy asks. You have life jackets on, and
I think this is maybe summary is that Bud's has many legacy things. Some are scary, some are not so scary, but they're all traditionally Bud's. It doesn't matter who you are. Every single Bud students, if you get to those points, you will experience them. You're not going to be like hanging out going, man, that's a huge wave. I'm glad I don't have to be in it. You will be in it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, wait, I'm going to somehow get out of pool comp or somehow get out of like life saving or somehow get out of a 4-mile. You'll never get out of anything at Bud's. If you don't complete the X number of runs, swims, they won't graduate you.
You won't graduate, yeah.
You will not be exempt of anything.
All right, so here's another question. And this is probably the most logical and question that makes sense that will add value to his 10 questions that he asked. Any tips that you can give for learning to acclimate your body to cold temperatures? Doing routinely full body submissions and ice baths, he says, or is it true there's no way to prepare and you just need to have mental strength and commitment to make it through that? So ice baths, I don't recommend, because here's why. Ice baths, the temperature is probably going to be 40, 45 degrees typically.
Yeah.
You know, if it's really cold.
If there's ice standing in it, typically it's under 51.
Right. And water doesn't get that cold out there. I mean, it is 60s. Maybe in the winter it might get high 50s, you know.
Yep.
So if you just run your bath water and just let it sit in there, cold bath water, no heat on it, that's going to be about as cold as it ever gets at SEAL training. Now,
but the difference is it's not moving.
It is not moving. It's not salt, and it's not sand mixed with it getting in your pants.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's as cold as it gets. So when people tell me, can they just do ice baths? I'm like, no, you don't really need to do ice baths. Just get in a pool and sit in there for an hour. You're going to be shaking, even if it's 80-degree water.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, your body temperature will start coming down. Now, the problem is you can die practicing this. I mean, there is such thing as hypothermia, and it can be self-induced, you know, if you practice this. So I don't recommend it. You know, maybe going surfing or something in the, you know, in the ocean, you know, in that type of temperature degree water, go swimming in the ocean. All of that is great. I mean, I think the guys that can handle buds cold the best were probably West Coast guys that surfed.
Yep.
You know, they were just animals in it. It wasn't that big a deal. They were used to it. I grew up on the East Coast in Florida, where we had these freshwater springs popping up everywhere in North Florida, and the water was year round, 70 degrees. You know, and
Yep.
it was chilly, but it wasn't freezing. And I think about as warm as it ever gets out there at Buds is probably 70 degrees.
Yeah, and that's a rarity too.
Yeah, you get those northern currents coming down, and it just keeps it cold. Whereas on the East Coast, it goes the opposite. You get the southern currents coming up, and it's 85-degree water on the East Coast.
Yeah,
you know, but it's freezing on the East Coast in the winter. Like here in Maryland, we go out there. It's in the 40s out there. I mean, it's freezing. So that's too cold.
That's way too cold. It's dangerous.
Yeah, it's too cold to prepare for buds. So if you're going to prepare for any cold water, high 50s, 60-degree water, swimming pool is sufficient.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing too is my cat is deciding to get on the podcast. One of them. Here's the thing is also too. I put it in value. Can somebody potentially improve their tolerance for cold water? I forget her name. There was a woman, the first person to ever swim the Bering Strait. She took more than a year, months, and she put on 38 pounds, I believe, of fat on purpose. And she started swimming in Southern California and started working her way up the coast over the course of that year and a half.
Smart.
To do that. Now, she certainly got a tolerance for that swimming the Bering Strait, because we're talking water that is in the low 40s.
Yeah.
And she even timed it to where it was a summer swim.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So can you? Technically you can, but is it at all feasible for Stu and I to lay out that sort of programming to somebody to get tolerance? No, because it would consume your day.
Yeah.
And you would need medical staff and supervision and all these sort of things, when the reality is I look at it like the medical staff that's at Buds is world-class and is going to they're going to do their utmost ethically and safely to put you guys in a position to get you hypothermic, but monitor it.
Yeah.
It's nothing that you're not going to die from it, right? Is it possible? Yeah, it's happened, I believe. But I was thinking more shallow water blackout and some other things.
Or just like undiagnosed heart issues too.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and then you get it cold, then you try to warm it up, and the heart can't handle it because it's got a murmur or something. People die from
that's
heart
ancillary to the cold water. Nobody quits because the cold water makes them, kind of thing. Like it becomes, it's a matter of tolerance. So there's, again, my point is there's nothing that we could say that's going to improve your competency in tolerating cold water. You either do it or you don't.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that you don't want to, like growing up in Florida. Yeah, you can go, because like the temperature of a swimming pool dramatically improves or decreases speed.
Yeah.
So a really warm pool is a slow pool.
Yeah.
A really cold pool is also a slow pool. You got to find, I want to say most Olympic pools are kept in the 70s.
Oh, yeah.
Which is not very warm.
No, it's
chilly.
Yeah, you don't want to jump in and.
No, you don't want, because at most rec centers and YMCA's, they're kept pretty warm, because if the water is cold, they won't get patrons in it.
Yeah.
For those of you that have been competitively swimming, you're going to find that some of those pools are cold.
Yeah.
By design.
Yeah.
Okay.
I tell you what sucks is going to a hotel pool and trying to swim laps. Oh my God. They must keep that close to 90.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Bath
Can you
water.
put your face in the water?
Yeah.
But yeah, once again, I think Jeff summed it all perfectly right before we started answering these questions. Is our answers to these questions give you little value? You know what I mean? Yes, it's cold. You have to deal with it. Yes, you have to pee. You have to deal with it. Our answers to these questions just aren't that important in the big picture. The things that are going to be in the big picture are the boring things. The 4-mile timed runs, the 2-mile ocean swims, the PTs, I think those two alone are the biggest contributors to people not meeting the standards.
Yep.
People will get kicked out for failing runs and failing swims. Yeah, they'll fail drown proofing, they'll fail life saving, they'll fail knot tying, but those numbers aren't that high.
No.
People fail the 4-mile timed run more than anything.
Yep. People don't make it through BUD/S, just like you're saying, for primarily 2 reasons. Not meeting the standard, and that's the beauty, is there's no way around the standard. And I think that's the magic of it, is because we know right now you can Google the standards.
Yes. You don't have to ask me how fast do I have to swim.
Yep. Google the standards. It's broadcast.
That is on Google.
Yep. And then it's like, then it becomes, the other piece is people quitting. I can't control that. Stu can't control that. Nobody can control that but you.
Yeah.
What we can control is how we prepare you to meet or exceed the standards. That is what Stu and I feel is the best way to spend our time.
Yes.
And it's not to say that, like, again, I got a question the other day of somebody who can't swim, wants to join the Navy. He emailed me specifically about breathing exercises so he doesn't have to learn to swim.
Yeah. And that I tell you
blows
what, man,
my mind. That
one goes right back to, don't even go to talk to a recruiter until you already know you can pass that PST. Yeah. At least pass it. You might not hit the competitive scores that get you put in the draft. That's okay. But I would rather send every one of my guys go there on their first time. They auto-qual, and now they're and guess what happens then? That recruiter's calling you. You don't have to call the recruiter. You just made that recruiter's job so easy. Yep. He's like, all right, man, I'm in with this guy. This guy's ready to roll.
Done and done. It's easy. Not literally, but it is. It's easy money for them.
Yes.
Like, it's just, you've done and that's what they want. I'm here to tell you, unfortunately, the vast majority of those recruiters don't care. And they really shouldn't. They don't need to care. They're there to do a job. And they're going to do that job. But if you show up and make their job really, really easy for them, got it. Check. Got my guy.
Yep.
Making to meet my quota. Make it easy.
Yep.
Okay. And I get it. We get it. We know everyone's in a big damn hurry.
Yes.
We get it. No, I was the same way. Stu is the same way. Right? I was emotionally driven to join BUD/S or join the Navy well before I did. I just for me, exceeding the standard was far more important than just getting there.
Yes. I love that one. Great quote. You should make a meme
Put it on
of
a
that.
T-shirt, right? Yeah.
That's awesome.
So
that is awesome.
I just, and I think that for me is kind of the litmus, because as Stu and I receive questions, it's up to Stu and I to kind of put ourselves in that person's mindset and go, well, what's the intent?
Yeah.
Right? Because I get questions all the time that are that just riddled with excuses after I respond. And that for me is a huge red flag. If I say, hey, I'm going to lay these out I get the questions, I lay them out in a concise response, and then I get a question, response back. It's like, well, but, I don't know what else to say, man. I'm lost for words at that point.
Yeah. So, like I said, I don't want to call these stupid questions, but I think the better word or better phrase for them is that these questions, even though we answer them, offer you very little value. Like Jeff said, I mean, that is a perfect definition of what I think a stupid question is.
Yep.
Because the answer doesn't really give you anything.
Spend your time worrying about auto-qualling. And what does that mean? It means exceed the standards.
Yeah.
That's what you should be worried about.
Yeah, that's it.
Like, well, I can't get past 75 push-ups. Why? Well, lay out some better training, right? Are you overtrained? All those questions that we keep hitting on.
Right. Are you resting?
Worry about that stuff.
Yes.
Okay. And not worry about what salt water tastes like, or if you should be running in bait shoes, or if this, or if like, here's the thing too, is this is transcendent. These topics are transcendent beyond buds, right? Some of my close friends are world-class powerlifters and Olympic athletes and this, and, in their world, they get the same questions of like, what's the best weightlifting shoe? And their response is like, get under the bar and get strong. Or, people are like all the time, what fins should I get?
Yeah.
Well, the ones that are most comfortable are the ones that are going to use the most. Because without throughput and compliance, you're wasting your time anyway.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what goggles you get, or what shoe you get, or what gym shorts you wear. You gotta put the time in. So let's not continue to worry about the stuff because last I checked, we don't have any control over acts of God / the taste of the salt water. Okay. The temperature of the water.
Yeah.
We don't have control over that.
Yeah.
So
or one day you may not have control of your bowels and you may crap your pants.
Get used to it.
I've done that on a 4-mile timed run after breakfast once.
Yep.
I couldn't get it out before.
Yeah. You are going to be especially to get down that road of kind of too much information is that you guys are going to experience things, a reaction to stress you've probably never encountered for. The level of diarrhea for 188 guys in a buds class. There probably wasn't a solid bowel movement for the first week of buds. Like, it is noxious and people are nervous and stressed to the max, right? The agitation of your gastrointestinal system during eating of that, again, high calorie food, sandwiched with high intense evolutions
and high stress.
Exactly. That last every day. It is an absolute physiological nightmare. You are going to experience some craziness. You're along for the ride, man. It's a matter of tolerance. That's what it is.
Yeah. That's a very good way to put it. All right. Well, we hope that our answers do offer you some value. However, as you can see, there are some questions that have answers that offer very little value. So consider those when you ask, right? But don't be afraid to ask them. because we're not afraid to answer them and tell you that's a stupid question and here's where to find it, and don't be offended by that. I don't take it personal, that, that someone asks me a stupid question. Right. And like I said, 9 times out of 10, I don't call questions stupid. I mean, I answer them all the time. In fact, they become articles for me. Right. They give me ideas. Like some people are asking these questions for Jeff. He makes great videos with his questions. I personally have written about it for the last 15 years. And I guarantee you probably 85% of the people that ask me questions, I just send them a link to the answer. I said, I've written about this 5 years ago. Check it out.
Yep.
Could you have found it on Google? Yes. But sometimes it's just easier to say, here, read this, than say, go on Google.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and I think that's really what it comes down to is we're actually trying to provide a resource.
Yes.
And I think that's because what we are seeing though too, probably, and I know Stu would attest to this, is that, well, there's 2 things. Every day, I guess, we're getting new 16, 17, 18-year-olds that want to be SEALs.
Yes.
Okay, every day.
Yes.
And those 16, 17, 18-year-olds that get in their head they want to go to BUDS or become SEALs start coming across our media. And so in Instagram too, is like I'm getting the same questions, but I know they're from new folks and they're just coming late to the party. And that's okay. So as long as we can provide these resources for you guys to dig into, because I will say, and I'm confident, I know Stu and I have talked about this, what Stu and I are talking about in these tactical fitness reports, they're one of a kind. Nobody's ever done it like this in such a deliverable, digestible fashion without pulling the veil of secrecy off the community that we're still gatekeepers and we love.
Yeah.
So
and for free.
Damn it. Yeah. And for free. Yeah. So, but it is what it is. Like it's, for us to monetize this sort of stuff would just be, I don't think it would be delivered right.
No, I don't either.
It would just be too much of a sales pitch probably. So we're happy to do it, guys, but we want you to be scholars of training.
Yes.
Okay. Not just consumers.
Smart. Yes. I like that. Very good. You learn every day. I'm still learning.
Absolutely.
So, all right. So let's close this one, Jeff. I think we're done. I think we've answered this one.
Yeah, we have.
All right.
I mean, I think, the big thing is that we're keep getting us the questions, because like I guess Stu already said, is the content is driven by your guys' initiative.
Yes.
Keep it coming.
Yep. Feel free to ask questions, even though I may call them stupid. Don't feel bad. We'll see you later.
All right. Thanks, Stu.